SyAM Software System Area Manager provides access to Intel AMT management features on your supported vPro-based client machines. Here we're looking at the System Area Manager interface. A machine is running the system client and it's reporting to the System Area Manager. Because it's a vPro system with AMT, when we click the icon for remote management of the system, we see a tab for AMT. Click the tab and you'll see the AMT configuration page and some more tabs for AMT functions. Before you start using the AMT features of System Area Manager, you'll need to configure the login following the instructions provided by your system vendor. Depending on the configuration, the IP address for AMT may be the same one used by the operating system as it is here, or it may be a different one. Once you have the IP address, username, and password entered, you can click the Apply button to save the information. Clicking the Launch AMT Console button will bring up in its own window the client machine's embedded AMT web interface. The details of this interface will depend on the particular hardware of the client machine. We'll close the AMT console. On the AMT Remote Control tab, click the button to establish a connection. The system is currently running, so the Power Off button will perform a forced power off. You can also perform a power reset or a power cycle reset or a power on of a system that's currently off. With these options, you can choose a normal boot, which is the default, or force booting from the CD or DVD drive, or force booting from the hard drive. If your environment supports PXE, that option is available here too. To use one of these options, click the radio button, choose the boot type, and click the Send Command button. You can also use AMT Remote Control to boot into the system BIOS setup. In this case, you could choose Power Reset, select a normal boot, check Launch SOL Session to bring up the Serial over LAN interface, where you view and control activity on the client system, and also check Enter BIOS Setup, so that happens automatically during the boot sequence. Click Send Command to start the boot process. IDE Redirect allows you to boot from a resource that's not on the client machine but on the server that runs System Area Manager. You can boot from a CD, DVD, or floppy disk device, or you can boot from an image that's stored on the system disk of the Area Manager server. Floppy images with the IMG file extension and CD or DVD images with the ISO extension are supported. Upload the image to the System Area Manager server and place it in the directory c:/SYAM/IDER. Then, to boot from the image, click Power Reset, launch SOL Session, and enable IDE Redirect. Click the radio button for the type of image and specify the image file. Finally, click Send Command to start the boot process. When you click the AMT System Defense tab and click the button to establish a connection, you'll see that there are no policies available. Click the button to download policies. When you click a policy, buttons become available to enable, disable, or delete the policy. The AMT quarantine policy is used to quarantine a system that may be dangerous to the network. All packets to and from the system are blocked. When this policy is enabled, you'll need to visit the system to take care of any problems locally. The other available policy is called AMT management. This allows management through SyAM software, but it blocks all other packets. You can remote into the system while otherwise keeping it off the network. Only one of these policies can be enabled at any time. Finally, the AMT KVM tab is shown if it's supported by the client system hardware. You'll need to consult the system documentation on how to enable KVM in the Intel management engine. When the system is properly configured, you can click the button to establish a connection. To review the options, if you check Local User Approval Required, the user at the local system will see a passcode displayed on the screen, and that user will need to relay the passcode to the administrator to allow a remote login. The timeout is the number of seconds you have to enter the passcode. The KVM password is the one you've programmed into the Intel management engine when you set up KVM support. It must be 8 characters and must contain at least one number, at least one lowercase letter, and at least one uppercase letter. The KVM inactivity timeout is the number of minutes without mouse or keyboard activity that will cause the remote session to disconnect. Click the Apply button to save your settings. If the KVM is stopped, click the Start KVM button. Then click the Launch KVM button to start the remote session. While you're in a KVM session, you can do a system restart from the System Area Manager's Remote Management page, or you can use the power functions of AMT Remote Control, and the KVM session will persist. This gives you access to the system boot sequence and BIOS setup.